All right, people, we are live on the World Wide Web, YouTube, for as long as they'll let us remain here. I'm going to be live for 2 hours today. We got a lot to talk about. It's time to get real. We're going to level about a few things. I'm going to share some insight into sort of what's going on with the show, with Patreon, with the future. I know you guys have a bajillion questions. And I've got a lot of answers. We'll do Ask Me Anything. We're going to do a little fundraising for the show. But before I do anything, I feel like most importantly, I just got to catch you guys up on sort of where we're at the moment, and just briefly a little bit on my adventure to get here and sort of where we're at. So, as most of you guys know, I launched on Patreon. We launched the Rubin Report on Patreon about 2.5 years ago. It was June of 2016. And at the time, right before that, we had obviously had the show on the Young Turks for about 2 years. Then we were very briefly at Riot, which was a startup, and just we sort of were going in different directions. Everyone there was great, but just didn't work out. And then we were at Aura TV. And Aura, back in September of 2015, is where I had my first interview with Sam Harris. It was the first time I had done a sort of one-on-one interview on camera. And that basically, when the show ended, I was like, whoa, that's what I want to do. Like, that's the best thing that I've done. It was real, and it was raw, and it was important and relevant and true. And I was like, that's what we're going to do. And really, that was the day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was September 9th, 2015 is when our first show on Aura went up. It was the one with Sam Harris. And my life changed. And that's where the show started blowing up. And then subsequently, we started going more and more into the free speech space, and then all of the things that I now care about. We stayed at Aura till about May of 2016. And at that point, I realized, Aura was great, by the way, and we were at Aura because Larry King, who is the greatest interviewer of all time, bar none, he welcomed us there. He welcomed me to do an interview show on his network. Pretty freaking great. And Larry's become obviously a friend and mentor to me. In any event, the show was really blowing up, and what we realized was that we were sort of getting bigger than the network at some level. And I thought, you know what, we could do this alone. I want to own the show. I want to control what we're doing. I want to be my own boss and figure out how to grow a business here and all of these things. And then we launched on Patreon in June of 2016. And the night before we launched on Patreon, I said to David and Amira, who joined me, left their jobs. We all quit our jobs and left our health insurance and all that stuff just to try this thing. And we had no idea whether it was going to work. I said to them, man, I may have really screwed up the night before we launched. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But within hours of launching, we realized that we were going to hit our fundraising measures, the markers that we wanted to hit. And then we went independent. We rented a studio for about 6 months after that. And then when we fully achieved independence was 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago in November, so a little over 2 years ago, when we were able to buy this house, and now we absolutely control and own and operate everything that we're doing. I'm super proud of the small business that we've created here, the same things that I talk about personal responsibility and limited government and all of these things, and the classical liberal and libertarian ideas that I talk about all the time are the same ways that I try to run my business. We pay 100% of our employees health insurance. We've got part-timers, full-timers, all these things. And I'm thrilled and elated about everything that's happened here. Now I should mention, because I think most of you are watching this right now because of the Patreon situation, that for the two plus years that we were on Patreon, everything was fine. There was the incident where they booted Lauren Southern off the platform, and I had Jack Conte about a year and a half ago sit in that chair right over there and tell me that they were not going to police speech on their platform, that what Lauren had done was taken part in what he termed manifest observable behavior, meaning behavior, not just words, behavior that she had partaken in. I don't even want to get into the specifics of everything that she did or didn't do. It doesn't even matter, actually. But he said words themselves. He said to me, I think he said it on camera, but he certainly said it off camera, I would never run the risk of being booted. Now, first off, he's just one guy that happens to run the company right now. That's nice to hear, I suppose. But also it's like, well, I don't want to be on a platform that everyone else might be getting booted off of, but I'm just getting some assurance that I'm safe. I think you do know that I care about free speech and free expression and all that. So anyway, he said manifest observable behavior is what will get you booted if you do something off platform that's an actual action, not just words. Manifest observable behavior, MOB, the acronym mob behavior. You can't make that up, but that's what they said would do it. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, I guess it's about a month and a half ago now, beginning of December, Patreon booted Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, who also has sat in that seat over there and who I've done collaborations with over the years, who's a classical liberal from the UK who years ago, when I was still on the Young Turks and I was really waking up to what was going on with the left related to free speech and calling everyone a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and the rest of it, and realizing how illiberal the liberals had become, everybody online was saying, you've got to talk to Sargon of Akkad. He's the guy. He's been doing it forever. He's putting up all these videos. Anyway, I did talk to him, and I think that actually started some of my success in this space. Anyway, about a month and a half ago, they booted him off Patreon with no warning because he used the N-word on a video from February, so from about 10 months prior, on someone else's channel, not his channel, and not a video that was even posted to Patreon. Now, he used the word because he was using the alt-right's language against them. This guy is against the alt-right. He's an old-school liberal. I don't want to even get into every little specific of every little thing that he has said, but he is someone that debates alt-right people, okay? So, but the real point here is not even the specifics of the words. It's that it's something that he said off platform, not even on his own channel. So it wasn't like he was doing something on his channel that wasn't on Patreon and they said, well, you're funding that through Patreon. It was something that was on someone else's channel altogether. They booted him. There was no recourse. There was no warning. And this was obviously just a truly massive move of the line. And Sam Harris canceled his Patreon a couple weeks ago. Jordan Peterson and I have announced that we are canceling our Patreon on January 15th. This is the engine of the show. This, we're 100% fan funded here. You guys, we're 100% independent. Really, it's independence more than anything else because of you guys. So this is a major risk that I'm taking. I'm voluntarily giving up about 60 to 70% of our monthly rev because I think it's the right thing to do. And I know that a lot of you guys are with me. So there's a really interesting thing happening right now. I'm watching our monthly rev go down, but I'm feeling very inspired because I'm getting so many messages from you guys who are telling me, I'm going to stand up for something just like you are. So it's pretty cool. Okay. So let me just do a couple little pimp shout outs right here up top just to tell you what we're doing, and then we'll go more back into the story and everything else. So first off, we are closing our Patreon January 15th. We are trying to move everybody over to daverubin.com/donate. And what that's all about is it doesn't solve the biggest problems related to censorship yet. It doesn't solve the biggest problems related to payment processors and things like that. But it does remove one portion of the middleman here. We don't need Patreon anymore. It's not like anyone's discovering us on Patreon. They're taking a cut of the money and they're doing practices that I don't believe in. So we're trying to get as many people as possible that have supported us on Patreon or new people over to daverubin.com/donate and help support the show. We'll see what happens. Like, there are many other ways that I can go about supporting the show. I could be reading ads and I could be joining networks and all those things. I like being independent. I think we've done something really cool here, and it's really on you guys to see what the future will hold. So what we're gonna do though for this live stream is, if you donate $25 monthly while we're doing this live stream for the next 2 hours, you are gonna get a Rubin Report, Rubin Select t-shirt. Now, these were the t-shirts. There are a limited amount of these that will never be printed again because these were the t-shirts that we were giving away to our patrons. So there's a couple hundred of them left. And if you donate $25 or more monthly while I'm doing this, you're gonna get a t-shirt. I should be selling like crock pots or something. I'm wearing that t-shirt right now, as you can see. And if you donate $50 or more right now during this live stream, we're gonna send you a Rubin Report mug. This is a select member mug that was only for our patrons. We've got a couple hundred of them left. I'm gonna sign it for you right here and give you a shout out. And anyone that donates, say $5 or more during the live stream, I will give you a shout out as well. So I've got a trusty iPad here. My team's gonna be sending me names, telling me what you guys are doing. I'll answer all your questions related to all of this. I just think it is time to take a stand. It is just time to take a stand. I don't take any great pleasure in this. I don't want to fight Patreon. I don't want to fight Google. I don't want to fight any of these things. I want to do a talk show. I want to have some fun, enjoy my life. but it's like enough of this ever-encroaching movement on what we can say and who's allowed to be on what platform to say this or that. And it's coming from more and more people who are not bigots or racists or anything even close to that, although I would defend bigots and racists' right to speech as well. It's coming for people that just have some thoughts that are a little bit outside of sort of the leftist progressive dogma that has just completely taken over academia and certainly everything going on in Silicon Valley. So please do, for the next 2 hours while we're here, I'll give you a shout out by name at daverubin.com/donate for $5 and above. 25 bucks and above monthly, you're getting a t-shirt. 50 bucks above and monthly, you are getting a t-shirt and a mug, which I will sign right here for you. And quickly already, we got some shout outs. James, Megan, Jeffrey, David, Beverly, Holly, and John. Welcome aboard, guys. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to jump in with some questions. I'm going to start with questions from patrons right now because you guys have been the lifeblood of this thing, and I see some questions popping up there first. I admire you leaving. Do they still have you on the front page? I guess a couple people were saying that Patreon was still using me as someone that they were publicizing on the front page. I don't know. You know, it's funny. I sort of had a love-hate relationship with them this whole time because I never truly felt they really wanted us, say the Sams and the Jordans and the Brett Weinsteins and me. I never really felt that they kind of wanted us on there because they are a lefty Silicon Valley thing. So I don't know that they're using me or not right now to pimp out this stuff. But, you know, they never followed me on Twitter, which always really bothered me. I was like, I'm making you guys a lot of money. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, that's just like silly little dribble. Okay, so, but the point is we're gonna stay on there till January 15th, and then that day we'll shut it down. And also, I do want to address something. You know, I saw a couple people say, well, Sam did the right thing because, you know, he just immediately deleted it. And I think it's worth mentioning that we all, God bless him for doing that. God bless him, the atheists, for doing that. You know, we all have different considerations. I have a business here with several employees. Actually, the day that we found this out, I was speaking either that night or the night before. I was in Montana, speaking at the University of Wyoming. And we had just sent a part-timer, one of our part-timers, a full-time employment contract. So in the midst of this, I'm just committing to another full-time person as I see all this. So we all just have different considerations that we're dealing with, but I think we're doing the right thing. And by the way, I also don't begrudge any of the people that want to stay on Patreon and fight. So I have plenty of friends that are gonna, I think, do just that, or at least doing it at the moment. Say Brett Weinstein and Colin Moriarty and plenty of other people. It's like, if you can stay and fight and change them, we can all have different tactics on how we want to go about this rope-a-dope. I think some of us leaving is probably good. I think some people trying to fight and stay and change is probably good. It's all there. Shout outs to Jason, to Wim, to Hakan, who is getting a t-shirt and a mug. That's right, my man. I'm gonna sign that mug for you right now. This is a Rubin Select Member mug that will never be printed again because it was for Patreon. It has been signed and it's going to you, my man. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. I'll jump on another Patreon one. I see a lot coming in on Super Chat too, which is great, so I'll get to those. Will you have the opportunity to pay through PayPal? Yeah, if you go to daverubin.com/donate, you can just use a credit card or you can use PayPal there and you're good to go. So I should address, actually, that's a good point. So look, there's a couple things happening here. One of the parts of censorship that we have to deal with is what's going on with these tech companies. Are people being shadow banned on Twitter? Are the algorithms not showing certain videos? Are people getting unsubscribed? All of these things that you guys know all about. Now again, I say this all the time, these companies are allowed to do what they want. I would like them to sort of uphold the principles of free speech that I hold dear, but I don't know that I can force a private company to do that. Now, if they were doing shady things and the boards of these companies, the shareholders of these companies found out, well, now maybe there might be some legal issues, there would be some internal issues for sure. But I don't think that the government coming in and breaking up these companies is the right answer. There could be certain legal things within that, I'm not a lawyer, that might have to be looked at, okay? Now, as far as the payment processor part of this, so that's just the speech part of it, right? That's how can people be on platforms and be allowed to talk. So it's like a guy like Carl Benjamin, it's like, if this guy isn't allowed to be on platforms, then probably you watching this and half of the people you know, and that may include me, can't be on these platforms. That's why this was important for somebody to start standing up to some of this stuff. The next level of this, though, is so we have to deal with the platforms themselves. Who can be on platforms, and what are you allowed to do on these platforms? And they can all have different terms of service. Should future platforms maybe only have to obey the laws of the land? So anyone can say whatever they want, except you can't make, say, a direct threat, or you can't do a fire alarm in a movie theater type thing, or inspire a terrorist attack, something like that, or call for a terrorist attack. That would be an interesting way to do it. Should a terms of service have more to do with the statement of principles that the University of Chicago has put out defending free speech? Possibly. So all of these things have to be dealt with and thought about and all of that. The other part of this issue, though, is the payment processor part of this. Because it turns out now, and this is very annoying because nobody wants to fight MasterCard and Visa and the rest of it, I assure you I don't, that you can catch, there is a tweet that at one time over the summer, I think it was in August, that Patreon tweeted to Robert Spencer, who is not Richard Spencer, the alt-right guy, Robert Spencer, who is a New York Times bestselling author. Now, he happens to write a lot about Islam, but he's a New York Times bestselling author. They tweeted to him that they had to close their account, and they said, unfortunately, because of pressure from MasterCard. So now it's like, wait a minute. Are we going to be policing speech to the point that people won't even be able to make money, that people will not be able to exchange in commerce and in goods? Well, now we've really ramped this thing up. So these are major, major, major things that people better start thinking about, that I know you watching this are thinking about, but everyone better start thinking about these things before it's too late. Okay, couple shout outs. Jacob, Raquel, Earl, Ann, Edward, Sean, Glenn, Joe, Jeffrey, Taylor. Taylor's getting a mug. I'm signing that mug for Taylor right now. What did I do with the marker? Here we go. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate that. You're getting a mug, my friend. And Morgan's getting a mug. All right, Morgan, here we go. And guys, I just want to be clear. First off, I just want to be clear about how truly appreciative of your support I am. Like, you guys make this thing go. Like, if you believe in resetting some of the national conversation into something decent, if you believe that we can actually change the world through ideas, as I believe, you're supporting the show because hopefully this gets out to more people. And I can promise you that it is. Like, trust me, I just did this world tour with Jordan where we're going to continue this with probably another 40 or 50 stops in the spring, and we're doing about 10 stops in Australia in February. And it's like everywhere we went, every airport I went, whether it was in Helsinki or Stockholm or Copenhagen or Dublin, it's like people were coming up to us, and it's like, there's something happening here. Like, something good really is happening. And people want to stand up for what they believe in, and people want to fight for ideas that they care about. And people want to know more and not be like bludgeoned by the mainstream media that makes everyone dumb, and not be called a racist every time you say something that's slightly out of what mainstream can accept. So I truly, I mean, in the statement that I wrote that we released to our patrons, you guys have quite literally made my dreams come true, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I can't possibly be more appreciative of that. Okay. Hey, Dave, if the social justice warrior ideology has infected Visa and MasterCard and can cut funding or services to whomever they please, what legal recourse is there if there are no alternatives? It's downright disturbing for it to have come to this. Okay, so as I said, I'm not a lawyer, but there are lawyers looking into some of this stuff. Look, they have their own agreements. Like when you sign up for a credit card, you sign some crazy agreement that nobody has a lawyer sitting there with. So can these companies do what they want? There's probably there is relationships with government agencies related to these companies. So there's probably something to look at there. I would say, and I'm hearing a lot of this, especially on Twitter, is that maybe the end game of all of this is that the only way to truly, truly be a free creator, now whatever that means, whatever you create, so in this case, creating video and audio content, is that you would be posting it on the blockchain and also doing all your financial transactions on the blockchain through Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and everything else. We're learning about it. I have a zillion meetings tomorrow, basically all day long tomorrow. I'm going to be talking to crypto people, and we're trying to figure out all that. So right now, by closing Patreon, I'm doing it to remove a middleman and do something that I just think is the right thing to do. We're pushing everybody to our website, which doesn't solve the long-term problems if payment processors come for us and things like that. But think how crazy this conversation is. Like, I actually have to entertain the idea that payment processors could come for me or anyone in my crew that you know of, or come for you. Like, how crazy is that? That's crazy. Like, we're not doing something evil and twisted here. You know what I mean? We're doing actually what you're supposed to do in a free society, which is talk about things. So switching everybody over doesn't solve the long-term problem, but we're also, as I discussed with Jordan, and you can watch the 2 videos that are on our channel and on Jordan's channel, we're working on some technological answers to this. I think that there may be multi-pronged and sort of multi-layered versions of how we're going to put all of this out. That may be, maybe we'll have everything on the traditional platforms and be putting up everything on blockchain. I mean, there's all sorts of ways we're trying to hit this. And trust me, the amount of people that have reached out to me that work at Google, that work at Facebook, that work at Yahoo, that are tech startup people, that are just regular folks in the middle of nowhere. It's like, man, people see an opportunity here, and this is what freedom's all about, right? Someone is going to solve this. I hope that I'm part of it, right? Like, I hope the right thing comes across here or the right idea pops, and it's like, I'm part of the thing that solves this. But if you watching this right now, if you can solve this freaking thing, I'll join you on that platform. Like, let's figure this thing out together. Okay, shout outs, Alex, Christine, Brian, Jenna, Christopher, Paige, Michael, James, Neil, thank you guys. Neil in California, he's getting a mug. I'm going to do that right now. Also, Drew and Glenn are getting mugs. Thank you guys. I signed that one already. Okay, there we go. That's for Neil. Where's this one? Hold on, I'm going to need more mugs. This is for Glenn. There you go, brother. Thank you very much. And one more, all right. There you go. You're getting the full Dave Rubin signature right there. The other piece of this thing that's interesting is that, everyone, as I said, everyone has different considerations. Everyone does things differently. So, like, I've had all these networks reaching out to me. I don't want to name them right now, but I know right now that there are a couple of different networks that are sort of vying for me to join them. The fact that I can make my own schedule, that, in December, we basically pre-taped. I think we did some of the best shows we've ever done in December. Most of them were pre-taped because I had done all sorts of travel with Jordan, and we're doing more travel. Like, we're going to try to do some more stuff on the road. Like, I can make every decision that I think is right because of the freedom that you guys are affording me. So please don't think that that is lost on me, because it's awesome. Have I talked to Sargon lately? We've traded a couple emails, and I think at some point we'll probably do a Skype chat. But we were sort of waiting for a little bit of the dust to settle here, and we'll figure it out. So yes, we will do something with him. Any information on professed goals to develop/back an alternative platform, as well as a funding strategy for said product? So I can't get into all of this right now. Suffice to say that, as I discussed with Jordan, we are working on something. He was building out something already that had some of the technological needs that we would need for a Patreon-like platform. But there's all sorts of questions here. Like, I will be very honest with you guys. Is the idea that we should be building a platform that absolutely everyone should be on, that then becomes the home of all sorts of nefarious activities and bad people? Now that, let's say it's within the realm of legality at least, right? Like, okay, in principle I can get there, but it's like, do I want to be the leader of that platform? And also, when it gets to the moment where there has to be actual gatekeeping, where somebody does something that's really bananas, it's like, do I want to be the guy, or do I want to be on the board of the group that has to make the decision to boot people? Like, I don't know that that's exactly for me. But again, this is why blockchain might resolve some of these things, so we'll figure out some of that. Okay, couple other shout outs. Angelo, Adam, John and Ian, and a couple more mugs. Peter, Drew, and Christian. I'm gonna need more mugs, guys. We're running low on mugs here. We only put about 20 here to start. Okay, we got that one. Drew, there you go, my man. And I'm gonna need another mug for Christian. Okay, here we go. Just subscribed at daverubin.com. Donate for $25 a month. Keep up the excellent work and the good fight. You got it, my friend. Thank you for your hard work and putting your principles ahead of the money. Let me just address that quick, because I said this before. You can just toss them down. We're good. I said this before, but it's funny. Like, so in the last couple of weeks, our Patreon, when we got on Patreon, as I said in June of 2016. Patreon was mostly like video gamers and some other interesting creators, but not a lot of political people. I think I was really one of the first, if not the first, from sort of the more political free speech space to get on there. And then once I got on there, that sort of broke the dam, and then a whole bunch of other people got on. We got to our original funding goal. I think we originally asked for 20 grand a month. Eventually, we moved that up to 30 grand a month. That helped me literally buy this house, build this studio. We've been able to redo the studio, hire full-timers, part-timers, all of those things, because of you guys. But what I was also realizing along the road was that you know what? It's not even where. What I was realizing basically was, it's like, even if this was all going great, why shouldn't we absolutely control everything we're doing? Why not take that last step to sort of true independence? So, all right, let's see. Hey, Dave, as much as I hate the idea of government intervention, is it time for the government to look into the deplatforming issue, or is that too much of a slippery slope? I think this might be the digital conversation to have in 2019. As I said in the video with Jordan, what kind of internet do you want? What kind of ability to communicate with other people do you want? We're going to really have to start thinking about it. Now, look, from a libertarian perspective, the idea that the government would come in and break up these companies or force them to do anything, it makes no sense from a libertarian perspective. From a classical liberal perspective, where you're more okay with a light touch of the government, there could be some argument that makes sense. Certainly from a more conservative argument, conservatives generally are anti-government, but then are okay often with breaking up monopolies and things like that. Okay, there is. Now, from a lefty perspective, you'd love to have the government involved in everything. My feeling still, right now, even though I'm right in the thick of this thing, and it would be nice to have, like, some superpower just come in and fix the whole damn thing, is that I believe in human ingenuity. This problem will be solved. There are people watching this. I have no doubt there are people watching this that work at Google, that work at all of these companies, that want to solve these things. I don't think everyone is a social justice warrior. I don't think everyone wants to be this hysterical, preening, moraling monster that is writing these terms of services, that is deciding who can speak and who won't speak and all of these things. So I think that ingenuity is the way to do it. There's always an argument to be made that the government should jump in and do these things. And I just think that if you give the government more power, right? You give the government more power. The government does not give that power back. So you have to be very, very, very careful. That said, look, PragerU sued YouTube over restricting their videos. I love Dennis Prager. We I think, just have a difference of opinion on that. And that's just how it is. All right, I got some more mugs here. So here we go. Stephen and Kenny, you're getting mugs. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. That's for you, Stephen. There you go, brother. And Kenny, you're getting a mug. There we go. All right. And you're getting a t-shirt, too. Super chat. Thanks, Dave. You got it. Love the show. All right. Love Dave and the ID double. Civil discourse among people with disparate ideas. Why not, right? I'm getting a lot of thank yous here. There's a lot of thank yous, but I want to get to some questions. Do you think you and Jordan will make a big enough dent to Patreon if they're forced to change their ways because of the Pexit? Would you return? So this is interesting. So look, when we started this thing, when this thing all hit at the beginning of December, I think we were at that point, we were making around 30 grand a month on Patreon. Now, of course, that sounds like a lot of money, right? So 30 grand a month times 12 months, we're looking at about 360 grand a year, something like that, right? Now that is obviously a lot of money. Now when I tell you that I have employees and mortgages and insurance and all of that other nonsense to make a business, it's actually not that much money, but I'm not sitting here complaining and this isn't Crimea River or anything like that. Now they get a small, whatever it was, they get, let's say 5% of that or something like that, and then some other fees on top of that. Jordan, I don't know exactly what he was making per month, but I know it was more than that. Sam was probably in that category as well. Are all of us leaving, and whoever else is leaving, I think Tim Pool left, I think some other people are planning on leaving, are all of us leaving going to cause enough of a dent in their finances to have them turn around? Now, if I'm not mistaken, but someone can check on this, Patreon got about $450 million in VC funding in the last year or two. So let's say we cause them to lose a couple hundred grand or even a couple million this year, and people are really pissed at them. If they really have just bought into social justice and bought into this language control and all of this nonsense, it's like a couple $1 million. probably doesn't hurt them at all. And if anything, the people who are funding them might be thrilled that they're getting us off these platforms. So that's why I think it's completely legit for some people to say, I'm going to stay here and fight, and for some people to go. It's like any other movement of any time, right? Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. didn't agree on every tactic. And I'm in no way comparing us to them. But you know what I mean? Like, this is just how every battle is fought. You have people that want to be more aggressive. You have people that want to change things from the inside. You have people that want to leave and come from the outside. You have all of those different dynamics. So we're all going to try. Look, the fact that nobody's from Patreon has reached out to me, nobody's reached out to Jordan. I don't think anyone reached out to Sam. I think in a weird way, they're mostly probably happy that we're going. But that doesn't mean it's a reason to stay. I think you got to do what you think is right. I really do believe that. What are your options after Patreon? So as I said, at the moment, we want to shift as many of you guys to monthly donations at daverubin.com/donate, which, by the way, we're taking Bitcoin there as well. And then the hope is that we will solve the long-term problem, which I think is probably a crypto answer. But in the meantime, there are many other ways of doing subscription things. We're going to try to figure out, I mean, I know one of the reasons that people loved Patreon was you had access to an ad-free version of the podcast. So we're going to look into that. We're going to look into a couple other things related to what other things we can do for you guys. But at the moment, it's about getting everybody to move over, and then hopefully whatever we build on the other side of that, we'll be able to just flip the info. So Stripe is the payment processor we're using. I think they're pretty decent, and I think that they're going to offer us some protections, and that hopefully what we build after, we'd be able to fold in the info that we have from you guys on Stripe into the next thing. Okay. What will you do if Richard Spencer or David Duke signs up as a creator on your platform? Will you remove them or leave them on? So this is, so first off, this is about the thing that Jordan and I are working on. We are working through all of these problems. We are trying to decide if this should be an invite-only platform or should it be up to everybody. As I said before, there are major issues related to terms of service and all of these things. So I don't want to comment on that specifically yet because it's being worked out at the moment. I think you know me. I think you guys know me well enough that I will do everything I can to defend everyone's right to be able to say what they want. That does not mean there aren't going to be consequences, and I also believe that private companies can do what they want. There is the question of platform versus publisher here, which is really interesting. As I said in the thing with Jordan the other day, to loosely quote Eric Weinstein, should conservatives be allowed to drive on public roads? I mean, at some point, should conservatives or anyone that's outside of the mainstream, should they be allowed to have access to telephones and running water at their house and all of these things? Because that's how important these modes of communication, these platforms are. It's like, this is your way to connect with the world. And if they're allowed to say you can't connect with the world, well, what else are they allowed to hold off on you on? So it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about for sure. All right, let me jump back in. We got a lot of shout outs here. Trevor, Lucas, Patrick, Jeffrey, Conservative Mexican, Henry, John, Chris, Patricia, another Jeffrey, Roy, Milko, Arthur, Rick, Bert, Alexander, Vicky, John, Robert, Luke, Ross, Dagfin, Ernie, Thomas, Sean, Rod, and Nicholas. Thank you guys for donating while we're doing this. Just a reminder in case you're just jumping in, if you donate at daverubin.com/donate for $25 monthly, you're going to get the Rubin Report shirt. There's only about 200 of these left on Earth. They will never be made again because these were the Patreon shirts that we were given to our patrons. So since we're leaving Patreon, we're not going to print any more of these. And if you do $50 and above monthly on daverubin.com/donate, you're going to get the shirt, and I'm going to sign a mug for you right here. Okay. Timothy and Bonnie, thank you guys. Let's see. Hi, Dave. I appreciate how thoughtful you've been with your decision to leave Patreon. I agree with you that there's a solution to the deplatforming issue on Patreon and other sites. Have you seen today's headline about Michaela Peterson's brief suspension from YouTube? So I did see that. So Jordan looped me in. I know Michaela, obviously through Jordan. Michaela is Jordan's daughter. Michaela has a YouTube channel and has been a big proponent of the carnivore diet, which I don't want to misquote her at all here, but she basically has been eating exclusively red meat, and it has solved a lot of her health problems. She had all sorts of health problems, I think rheumatoid arthritis and a whole bunch of other things. And through this diet, it has seriously helped her. She's been on Joe Rogan talking about it and a whole bunch of other things. Her channel got a strike 2 days ago, or it might have even been yesterday. And she was going to be temporarily banned or something for 3 months. And of course, YouTube doesn't know why. So again, or doesn't tell you why. And this is why all of this is so tough to deal with. So even me right now, so we're about to cross 1 million subscribers. Obviously, the show's doing incredibly well. Last month was, I think, our second or third best month in subscribers and views and all that stuff. I don't even have a personal contact at YouTube. If I have a problem with YouTube, I have to fill out a generic form that they just send you some robotic answer back. I don't even have an email or a name of someone at YouTube to contact. Like, that's the problem. These companies have become so big that they operate as sort of monolithic governments. Now again, do I think that the government coming in and breaking up those companies will somehow make them better? Do I think the government that doesn't really understand technology, if they could only break up technology companies, would make any of this better? Or if government regulators had to come in and audit YouTube every now and again and say, you have to give Dave Rubin a personal contact. It's like, I don't think any of that is the answer. But I think by talking about these issues, this is the funny thing. You see this all the time. When you talk about that competition is the answer, then you'll see all these people that'll be like, oh, see, you free market people, you don't want the government involved, you're not allowed to complain. And it's like, no, you're supposed to. That's what you do in a free society. You exercise your freedom to hopefully change things for the better, which is exactly what we're doing here. Okay. Shout outs to Anthony, Andrew, Robert, Chris, and Lori, and Conservative Mexican. He just upgraded his mug status, so I'm going to sign him a mug. Thank you, Conservative Mexican. I got to tell you guys, since your name is Conservative Mexican there, I have met a lot of conservative Mexicans in the last year that I did not really know were out there, either at my stand-up shows or at the Peterson shows. I've met a lot of, not only Mexicans, I've met a lot of conservative Latino people. Oh, and actually, speaking of stand-up, if you're in Ontario, California, which is Southern Cali, about half hour, 45 minutes from LA, I will be there on January 9th doing stand-up. And then a live sit-down with Brett Weinstein on January 9th. And on January 30th, I will be in Irvine County, or I will be in Irvine, which is in Orange County, California. And there will be a surprise IDW guest with me there too. The stand-up shows have just been great. Like, I'm getting back to my roots. I promise you it's a stand-up show like you have not seen. It's sort of just a free-for-all. I just sort of do a town hall. I tell a couple of jokes, but I'm just messing around with the crowd. I give stuff away, and it's completely politically incorrect, and we're just having a ball, and I think you'll enjoy it. Robert, you're getting a mug. Here you go, Robert. Thank you very much. Okay. I felt that was a particularly good signature. Here we go. Let's see. Man, there's a zillion. Look at this. Questions just flying in here. Hey, Dave, will there be a video/live stream of you shutting down the Patreon account on the 15th? So we've been discussing that. I actually think it would be pretty cool if I have my laptop and I literally just like walk up to the camera over there and press delete. So we have a whole bunch of scheduling things going on. January is completely bananas because I'm going to be in Australia for most of February. So we're taping a ton of stuff in January. So that we have content, obviously, for February. But I think we'll probably do that. I want to make sure that there aren't technical reasons why we couldn't do that. But yes, I think we're going to try to do that. Thanks for stepping up and being a leader in this freedom of speech and helping us all have a voice. I have nothing better to do. That's really the truth. Why have you and Jordan not performed in Germany yet? 2019? Yeah, I think we're going to be in Germany either in May or June. We're working out the rest of that European tour. Let's see. Holy cow, there's a lot here. How can we get in on the beta test version of your and JP's Patreon alternative? I think there will be an answer to that probably within the next month or so. I think there'll probably end up being a landing page and sort of an invite only to the beta. So hang tight on that. I mean, it's not just, not only do you have to build tech and solve these problems and address terms of service, it's like there's a whole bunch of other stuff you got to figure out about branding. We got a business to build. Like, there's a million things. So I think our one sort of slight mistake was that in the first video that I did with Jordan, Jordan said that he was going to try, or thought it was possible that maybe we could get it out by December 25th or January 1st. That was probably a little bit over ambitious, just because we really wanted to solve a problem. So it was like, holy cow, can we do this quick and just get some bare bones thing up? And then when we really thought about it, it's like, you really do have to be methodical, and you want to make sure that all of those pressure points that you can be taken down on either technologically or because of the mob or everything else, or because the media is going to come after you. You want to make sure that you're covering all your bases here. So we are covering our bases, I promise you that. Ben, are you ready for a mug? I'm sending you a mug. Thank you, Ben. All right, there you go. I'm going to need more mugs, guys. And you're getting a t-shirt too. Everyone that gets a mug gets a t-shirt. DaveRubin.com/donate is where you're going to do that. Super chat, Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I absolutely love your show. How do I get my wife to watch your show? And you put that part in caps. I like that. That's funny. You know, I get a lot of messages from people that are having problems. I get messages from people that are getting divorced over politics, because it's usually, not always, the case is that the woman is a lefty, SJW, the whole thing, and that the man has been trying to show her some of these videos or just break her out of that mindset. It's not always that way with the female on one side and the male on the other. But I've literally gotten messages of people that are getting divorced over politics, which is sad. And it's also like, that's why not everything should be political. And it's why, if you look at my Twitter, I don't tweet about the political machinations every day. I don't think I've tweeted once about the government shutdown. It's like politics is starting to become incredibly boring to me. What is interesting to me is what is happening culturally and what is happening with the way we relate, to government, with the way we relate to these platforms and the way we relate to conversation and our ability to communicate with each other. That is really interesting to me. The little machinations of politics, it's like, man, you've got half the country that says Trump is Hitler, which is so absolutely bananas ridiculous. And at the same time, their answer is they always want more government. And it's like, no, you should always want to strip the power away so that when it's somebody you don't like, they don't have a lot of power. And then the trade-off is when it's somebody you do like, maybe they can't get everything done that you want in your utopian society. Okay. Shoutouts, Noel, L, Cherise, Mike, E. Wayne, Christian, Linda, Mike, Chris, Peter, Nicholas, and Paul. Thank you all guys very much. I really do appreciate it. Okay, a lot of people are saying that I should delete the Patreon account online. So maybe I'll do it. I'll just bust out the laptop and just do it in front of you guys. That would actually be pretty fun. There's a lot of super chats coming in. I'm trying to read them here. Let's see. Freedom of speech is worth a bit of inconvenience. Close my Patreon account after January 1st auto payments, and also PayPal since they're complicit. Well, look, this is the payment processor thing. And believe me, I did not know a tremendous amount about payment processing until the last couple of weeks. And there are certain payment processors that are a little more willing to stand up to the mob. Some of them aren't. If an entire company has been sort of infected by the progressive dogma, then they're going to drop anybody at the first sign of trouble. So we're talking to all sorts of people. As I said, yes, tomorrow I have just an insane day, basically from 8 a.m. to the end of the day, just taking calls and taking video chats with all sorts of people that think they have solutions. And so now it's like, I've got as if I wasn't busy enough between the tour and I'm writing the book and I'm doing the show and doing stand-up. It's like now I have this alternate job as like a tech guy, which is quite bizarre, but life is strange. Let's see, I'm a strong conservative that has changed some of my beliefs because of your show. Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's cool. You know, it's funny. There was this Data and Society ridiculous report that was funded by some Soros group, doesn't matter, that did all this whole thing about how YouTube is converting people into the alt-right, and they somehow they just use lines to connect people that have talked to each other. So I'm connected to Joe Rogan, and this guy's connected to Tim Pool, and this guy's connected to Sam Harris, and this guy's connected to this. And it's like, there was no methodology behind it. Of course, Ezra Klein at Vox tweets out how important of a study it is and all this endless bullshit, and BuzzFeed does pieces on it and the rest of it. And the whole idea being that you're watching this show, that you, person watching this right now, are watching this show, you're watching the conversations that I have, listening to the things that I talk about or my guests talk about, and somehow you're being radicalized to the alt-right, that you're hearing about the individual and that we should treat people as individuals and treat everybody equally and should not be racist and we should not be prejudiced and all of these things, and that somehow that's turning you alt-right. Of course, it's drivel. There was actually, Tim Pool did a video on this. There was a guy who recently did a true analysis of a lot of these channels. And it turns out in many cases, when people watch these shows, you have people that are more hardcore right, let's say, that are actually shifting a little bit more liberal. It's all just drivel. But I will tell you this, that the focus, you know, it's why is there so much focus, BuzzFeed and Vox and New York Times and the rest of these things? Why are they always focusing on like this little crew of YouTubers? Why do they want to take down PewDiePie so badly? Well, it's like, people are actually watching this. People are watching this, and those companies, they're just funded to the tilts, but they're dying. They're dinosaurs that should die, and hopefully something better will come after them. So there you go. All right, shout outs to Thomas, Robert, and Irma, and Dana. You're getting a mug, sister. I'm going to sign it right here. Here you go. There you go. You know what I will also offer up? I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for doing this, but you know, when we flipped our set, this past September, we have most of our old set. We've got the chairs from our old set. I need to hang on to the red chair because I still use it when I do the three-way conversations. But we've got two of the guest chairs that my guests were always sitting in. You may remember those aqua chairs. And we've got the old table, the old coffee table. So I would say make us an offer that we can't refuse, and maybe we can get you one of those if you want one of those. That would be a logistical nightmare probably, and a shipping ridiculousness, but let's see. Okay. The left doesn't care now that they control the media and the internet platform companies. If you want to know how they react when they are on the other side of the coin, see the 1960s. Freedom of speech is a right regardless of which side you are on, and Dave and Jordan are right. What is going on is very ominous and Orwellian. Well, look, I agree. Both sides can be pretty bad when it comes to speech. Remember, it was the right that used to be all about video game violence, right? That video games are causing violence and they should have warnings and shouldn't be sold, and they were going to boycott stores and all of these things. So this is not necessarily a left-right issue. And again, we talk about this all the time, but this is also one of those things where it's like the left-right paradigm is just becoming increasingly meaningless because you're either basically libertarian in that you're for personal freedom, which can be a little bit messy because that means someone else is going to have personal freedom too, and they might be doing something you don't like, or you want central planning, you want state control over things. I think you guys know where I fall out on that. What I would say is that we want to build something that will be as open as possible, that will also be protected from, I mean, I've said this before, it'll be protected from the mob, it will be technologically sensible, and it will offer some answers to some of these things. There's a little bit more that I could tell you that we've accomplished already, but I just can't quite get into all that, and I wish I could. Okay, Conservative Mexican, he's back. Can I pick up my mug and shirt when I see you at CSUF? I met you at the Improv in Irvine. Yeah, you know what? We'll make that happen, guys. Can you make a note of that? Conservative Mexican. We're gonna bring him the shirt when I do that show on January 29th. Which that reminds me, January 9th, I'm at Ontario Improv down here in Southern Cali. Brett Weinstein's going to be joining me for that one. I do about an hour, then Brett will join me for about an hour live sit down. January 30th, I'm at Irvine, California, with an undisclosed member of the intellectual dark web, and I'm at CSUF. Cal State on January 29th, which is a college gig, but they are selling tickets to the public on that too. Okay, what the hell are we doing here? A little radio reset for you. We are leaving Patreon on January 15th. That's it. That's it. They don't want to respect free speech. You got to stand up sometimes in life. It's weird. I'm watching my monthly revenue drop like hell, and I'm getting emails from people that are inspiring me. So it's a little bizarre. If you go to daverubin.com/donate, we are going to send you a mug and a t-shirt if you jump in for $50 and above, and I'll sign the mug right here for you. If you do that at a monthly level, $25, you're getting the limited, never going to be printed again because they were just for Patreon t-shirts. Whew, that's a lot of talking. Okay, and $5 and above, and I'm just going to give you a shout out right here. So I'm going to give a shout out to Jacob, to William, and to Garrett, and Aaron, Lawrence, and Ricardo. You guys are getting mugs, and that's running out of mugs again. All right, here we go. There we go. And mamma mia. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'm seeing all these, and I promise you I'm going to get to as many as possible. Okay. This is real, right? This is real and it's raw. That's what I can tell you guys. Let's see. I seriously hope I can continue to listen to you and many others that I do. I think it was positive that you're taking a preemptive step versus waiting for the axe to fall, assuming that it does. Well, that's interesting. So what I can tell you is this. So if you think about sort of the whole IDW crew, whatever that actually means to you, but let's say this group of 20 or 30 or so people, I can tell you that the Sargon thing, by Sargon getting booted, everyone realized, even though some of the people have never met him, some of the people didn't know who he was, there were several people who didn't even know anything about him, everybody was like, this one is just, you know, in life, you don't get the perfect opportunity the second you want it. You know what I mean? You're either going to swing early sometimes, and sometimes you're going to swing too late, but sometimes you just got to swing. And I think what I realized, at least for this one, was it was like, not only because, as I said to you earlier, when I started waking up to some of these ideas, Sargon was someone that was doing this on YouTube. And although I don't know everything about him, and truth be told, I don't think I've watched a video of his in a year, I've just been extremely busy, I know that he's basically a decent human, and I know that he's not alt-right, and I know that he's been fighting the forces of racism and the rest of it. And it's like, we could just sit quietly, right? Like, we could. Like, the chances, I suppose, well, I think some of you would disagree with me on this, but I think the chances that they're going to come for me, let's say, in the next couple of weeks or couple of months, are pretty slim, right? Like, basically, because that would be such a massive move of the line that it would be bananas. But we just saw a massive move of the line. So it's like, we just don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't get that perfect moment. So maybe Sargon isn't the perfect case here that everyone's going to jump aboard and defend. Jordan and I felt it was the right one, and here we are. Okay, let's see. Would you have tried to launch this new platform if PayPal, Stripe, MasterCard, etc. had not cut off Patreon's competition, Subscribestar? That was big. So, you know, it was interesting. When this whole thing happened, Subscribestar sort of came out of nowhere, and everybody was like, well, you got to jump on Subscribestar. It's the Patreon alternative. And what I kept saying to everybody, and this was before I was even discussing with Jordan about doing an alternative platform, was that just jumping to another site, even if their intentions are good, is it's just a little stopgap. Like, this is a frog in a pot that is slowly boiling, and the frog doesn't know when it's going to be dead. That's sort of where we're at the moment. So just jumping, this has nothing to do with the people at Subscribestar or any of that, but it was just going to jump to sort of an earlier version of Patreon, which then, let's say in a year from now, if it had gone successfully, would have had all of the problems of a Patreon. So that's why I didn't want to do Subscribestar. I suppose right now, if Subscribestar had not had, I guess it was Stripe and PayPal and MasterCard and whoever else, if they had not cut them off, then I think there would be a little more legitimacy behind what Subscribestar is doing. But that's why I'm saying this is a massive technological problem that perhaps can only be solved by blockchain. And in the meantime, if we can just remove as many middlemen as possible, for all that you guys, see, that's another interesting thing, is that there's a real generational shift here. We know that most of the people that watch these videos on YouTube are younger. Younger people are more willing to spend their hard-earned dollars supporting people that care about the things that they care about. So like back in the day, I'm not that old, I'm 42. For most of my life, you had bundled cable. So let's say you only wanted to watch ABC, NBC, ESPN, and TNT. Well, that wasn't a package. You couldn't just pay a couple bucks for each of those and get that. They forced you to buy a bundle, basically, so you'd end up with Lifetime and We Channel and Comedy Central and a zillion other things that maybe you'd never wanted, and that's the only way you did it. As that model crumbles, and it's so interesting because we're watching the television model crumble, the cable model crumble, as we're watching mainstream media crumble, as we're watching the political establishment crumble. We're watching all this happen at once. But as that crumbles, people are going, oh, I don't have to spend, say, 120 bucks on cable a month anymore. I could spend, say, 40 bucks a month, and I could divvy that up amongst 8 creators that I like, give them $5 each. And if enough people do that, all of these people that care about the things that I care about will be able to go on and live and hopefully do more and all of those things. So there's also an interesting age thing happening here, and it's very cool to be part of, truly. Okay, let's jump back to shout-outs. Andy, Drew, Zachary, Camille, Michael, thank you guys. And we got some more mugs. Todd, and Peter with a D, he's on there. And Brandon, thank you guys. So you guys are getting mugs that I'm signing right now. Signing the mugs right now. And you guys are getting t-shirts that will get out to you as soon as possible. And the last one there was for Brendan. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's cool, right? Like it's actually, the other thing that it was so interesting, just on a personal note, you know, this past year, 2018, was definitely, without question, it was the most rewarding of my life, personally, professionally, on every front. The work that I'm doing, I think, is important and good. It's brought a certain level of happiness and success to my life, which is great. Going on this tour with Jordan, where we did about 100 stops in all sorts of different countries and went all over the United States. And as I said, we're going to extend it now into Australia and for February, and then we're doing all these European stops and meeting all of you guys. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I know that online it seems like an endless hate fest. And it often is, and we're owning the libtards and the cuckservatives and all of this nonsense. But it's like, there are good people everywhere, and I saw them, and I see them every single night. One of the things that we do at the Jordan shows, he does a meet and greet after, and I do a meet and greet. Now, for Jordan's meet and greet, obviously it's Jordan's show, so he gets, let's say, 300 people that go to his meet and greet, and you get a picture with him, and he does a little talk. Mine are usually somewhere between, like, say 20 and 50 people. And it's really cool because we go into a private room, or sometimes there's like a bar area at the theater, and we get to chat. Like, I sit around, we try to get the chairs in a circle, and we sit around, and I get to hear from people about their concerns or what they're excited about or whatever it is. And they ask me questions, sometimes I ask them questions. I know that people meet after. We've been meeting people that are starting IDW groups. People are hanging out after. Sometimes at some of the shows, there are people that hand out flyers, and they're like, if you want to talk about some of these ideas afterwards, meet us at the bar down the block. And I've gone to one or two of them. Actually, we did 2 shows in Stockholm, which were 2 of my favorite shows. I loved the Nordic countries, but Stockholm particularly. And we did my meet and greet, and there were a ton of, I don't know, like 60 people there. We were jammed in this little room. And then I was like, you know what, why don't we just wrap this thing up early and go to a bar? And then like 60 of us went to a bar. Aaron Flam was there, who's a comedian from Sweden who's been on the show, and a couple other influential people there. Shout outs to RS, Derek, Laura, and Joseph. Thank you guys very much. And a mug and a t-shirt for Dylan. Thank you, brother. I already signed that one. Guys, I'm gonna need more mugs. Yeah, so lots of cool stuff happening, guys. There you go. That is the Dave Rubin mug. I'm running out of room at the table here. Okay. If MasterCard or other payment companies can prevent me from supporting the artists or makers who are engaging in legal activities that I prefer, there's no limit to what they control. It's definitely a big issue, and I think the left doesn't understand how giving this type of power to a corporation can swing back around on them. Have you reached out to MasterCard? So that harkens back to an earlier question. One of the reasons that this is so crazy is that, so think about it, you've got half whatever it is, this certain set of people that think Trump is the Antichrist or he's Hitler or any of this nonsense. But generally speaking, people on the right, generally speaking, right, if you're generally speaking, a conservative or a libertarian doesn't want to use state power to accomplish their goals. They want the market and individual people to solve things. Now, on the left, they believe that state power is the answer to most things. Bernie believes that state power is the answer to most things. Elizabeth Warren believes this. Kamala Harris believes this. Is what 99% of progressives believe. Now, obviously, I don't agree with that, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt that sometimes the government can do some good things. Okay, sure. The government has done some good things, by the way. I mean, if you want to watch a really interesting interview, I talked about this with Peter Thiel, and then he said at some point it just stopped working. He said something to the effect of, I'd have no reason to be a libertarian if any of it worked. But what the real scary part of what's happening right now is, it's like, okay, so let's say we give the power, let's say the conservatives and the libertarians are like, you know what, this deplatforming thing is so dangerous, and it's because it's coming after us, we're gonna shave away on our ideals. And you know what, the government can get involved this one time because Google controls so much information, the government can do it this one time. Well, what happens then when, let's say, Trump is out, and now you've got a progressive in the White House who believes the government control everything? Now you've just given the control of the platforms to people who are even more politically against you and have more power. So this is why everyone has to be very careful, and why, once again, I would still say this is about ingenuity of the American people. Okay, let's see. $100 on Super Chat. Keep up the good work. Great work. Thank you. I will do that. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Donald. And a mug for Kine. You got it. Here we go. Man, I wish we could move the camera a little because I am surrounded by mugs right now. This is pretty crazy. Okay. Hey, Dave, what about Maxime Bernier? Is there an interview coming soon? Love the show. Keep up the great work. Yeah, we've got him. Maxime Bernier is a libertarian up in Canada, which you know that the government has gone completely out of control if libertarians are gaining steam in Canada. We've got him via Skype. I believe it's next week, maybe a week or two, but we are doing that. I'm looking forward to doing that one. Let's see. I love you so much for the stance you're making. No tolerance for censorship. I love you too. Thank you for taking a stand against censorship and providing exceptional content. You got it. Hey Dave, huge fan here. What things did Patreon do well that you guys want to nail down in this new platform? Also, can you tell us everything new about it we didn't previously know? Have a great day. So I can't give you all the specifics on what we're trying to do, and a lot of it still is amorphous. And believe me, we're bringing in a lot of the voices that you'd think we'd bring in, and we're bringing in some voices that maybe you wouldn't think we'd bring in. What did Patreon do? Well, look, they were the first one that solved a massive problem. There was a problem that creators could not figure out a way to make a living despite making good content on YouTube. The CPMs, meaning the cost per 1,000 views that the advertisers were paying out, is extremely low on YouTube. It's something like $2 per 1,000 views. Then there was the whole demonetization issue, which, by the way, is still real. So although generally speaking, it's gotten better for our channel, right before Christmas, who did I have on right before Christmas? Well, I did a show with Rabbi David Wolpe from Temple Sinai here in Los Angeles, and he was sitting in that chair, and in this chair was Bishop Aaron from the Archdiocese here in LA. That was monetized. What was the show that I had on earlier in the week, just 2 days before? It was Imam Tawhidi. They demonetized that one by, not only the algorithm demonetized it, but then manual review. So I can talk to a rabbi and a priest, monetized. I can talk to an imam, not monetized. Like, it's just all bananas and subjective. So Patreon, what did they do well? They were the first one that said, let's find another way that creators can come together in one spot, and people who are interested in creators would have some discovery. So maybe you'd go on there. Let's say you were a Jordan Peterson fan. You might go on there. You might donate $5 a month to Jordan. And then you might look around, and I think they had like a sort of related channels kind of thing. And you might go, you know what? I've got 20 extra bucks a month, or I'm going to drink one less beer a month. And I'm going to take that $6 that I spend on a beer a month, and I'm going to give 3 creators $2 or whatever it is. So they really did do that well. There were other things that I loved about, they did some of the back end stuff. So I was doing voice and video chats with small groups and one-on-one people. Over the last couple months, we eliminated the one-on-ones because I just simply didn't have any time anymore. But I've loved, by the way, doing the group chats. I still do a series of these, which we are phasing out. But I've met so many people, and it's really cool. So I spend about, at one point I was going from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It was a whole day of talking to people, where I would bounce around. I'd talk to somebody in Japan, and then somebody in Australia, and then somebody in Mexico and Brazil and Iceland and Sweden and blah, blah, blah. It was like, man, the amount of perspective that I would get, and just talking to interesting people who were thinking about the same things all over the world, it's pretty freaking awesome. So Patreon, this is not... I don't hate Jack Conte. I don't hate this Jacqueline Hart, the head of Trust and Safety. It's like, I think they're not particularly good at their jobs. I think that they're not standing up for the right principles. But if either one of them want to come and talk to me again, I guess I'd be happy to do it. Although everything Conte said to me last time turned out either to be intentionally lying, but I don't like to attack people's motives. So he was either mistaken, didn't realize the problems that were coming down the pike, or just didn't know what he was talking about. I don't know which one of those is the truth. Yo, Dave, check out YouTuber Law. He's a tech lawyer looking to take action. Seems like he has a lot of support from the legal end. So I know people have sent me the videos. I haven't seen them yet, but I will take a look at that. The IDW has made my husband and I closer. We need more IDW women to speak up. I know we exist. Absolutely you do. Look, there are plenty of women, from Ayan and Christina Hoff Sommers, and I would say Caitlin Flanagan and Claire Lehman, and there are plenty of others. But yeah, I think we could. This is the irony of the whole thing, right? It's like we don't care about identity politics, but you want to feel that there are people from all sorts of walks of life that are represented with good ideas, not because of the color of their skin or their sexuality or gender or any of that. But yeah, look. I promise you guys, as long as I can keep doing this show and we can keep making this thing work, I will keep finding people, regardless of any of those immutable characteristics. And if it happens to be more women, then so be it. Let's see. You and Jordan's bromance is awesome. Please come with Jordan to the UK soon and somewhere a student can afford tickets. Have a great day, Dave. We did about 6 or 7 stops in the UK, which was actually totally fun and cool. And it was nice to bounce around the country. One of the most fun things that I did in the UK was during one of our days in London. I had a couple hours off, and I spent the day at Michaela's school. Jordan's daughter happens to be named Michaela, but that is not connected to this. You may remember my former guest, Catherine Burble Singh, who was on at the end of August. and she runs a school called Michaela. She used to be a big lefty. She realized how leftism was teaching just no personal responsibility and always kicking the can down the road and throwing money at things. And she has this school where they take inner city kids from every walk of life, and they teach them how to be responsible, smart, self-aware adults. I mean, so I I didn't know what I was doing. I just showed up there. She's like, "You're gonna have lunch with these kids." I sat at a table with a bunch of kids, like 8 kids, and we had this incredible conversation. They took me to all these classrooms. I gave a talk at the end of the day to the teachers there, but they they're not allowed to talk. They're allowed to talk about a specific topic during lunch. They can't talk in the hallways. They have to walk on certain sides of the thing. Like it sounds sort of authoritarian in a way, but they're teaching these kids incredible personal responsibility. It's pretty awesome. All right, let me jump back in here. Shout outs to Kyle, Matt, and Scott. And just a reminder, daverubin.com/donate. If you do it while I'm doing this right now, $25 monthly, you're going to get a Rubin Report t-shirt, which will never be printed again because it was the Patreon shirt. And you will also get a signed, autographed Rubin Report mug, which I'm going to sign for you right here. I'm surrounded by mugs right now. All right, here we go. Excited to see Maxime on the show. Is there any possibility of getting some more focus on Canadian politics? Well, there's obviously something going on in Canada. Yeah, well, we're going to have Stephen Harper, former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, will be on the show, I think in January, if I'm not mistaken. And there really is something going on in Canada related to free speech and all this, which is why Jordan obviously is from Canada, and Lindsay Shepherd and Ezra Levant and plenty of other people that are fighting this fight are in Canada. Let's see, Dave, will your platform allow creators of legal erotic content, writing, drawing, photography? Yeah, I'm talking about what a lot of people call porn. Again, this is all about trying to figure out what kind of platform we want to build. Do we want absolutely everybody on there? Should it be invite only? Do you need to be recommended by a couple of people? I know anything I say right now is going to make a certain amount of people mad no matter what. We are talking all of this stuff out. So my general feeling, so I can only speak for myself for just this second. I can always only speak for myself, but particularly at this moment. My general feeling is I want as little gatekeeping as possible. If you are doing something that is legal, if it is legal in the country that you live in, then I personally would err on the side of that being completely fine on the platform. Now, the problem with that, at least optically, is if you try to do that, then a certain amount of people who are doing all sorts of racist, whatever, like truly racist and evil stuff, they're going to all flock to that platform, and maybe that's going to overrun all of the good, decent stuff that's there. That's just an issue to deal with, because, well, even if you're okay with that, right? Well, then you've got the mob that comes in after and is like, see what this platform is? See what this platform is? It's an alt-right haven for evil racists and pornographers and the rest of it. And then whether you want it to be a problem or not, or whether you believe in all of these people's right to free speech or not, if they then come after your payment processors, the MasterCards and PayPals, well, now you've still got a massive headache. So that's why we have to figure this thing out in a whole bunch of steps. Okay. Wow, there's a lot here. Thank you for all your hard work, Dave. I may just be a dumb mechanic, but I find all your content very important. Best of luck to you in your adventures. You're not a dumb mechanic, and thank you for that. You can view the Pareto principle through 2 lenses, one that says 80% of people are worthless. The other perspective says that small businesses are more productive. Globalism is dead. It's like how you snuck that in there. Well, it's funny about small businesses because it really is one of the things that I'm most proud of. We have a seriously great small business here. We have built something that I'm super proud of, that we, as I said before, we pay all of our health insurance for our employees, we give nice bonuses, we treat everybody well. I try to let people take more vacations than you would at a normal job, and we work with people however we can to make a good business. We have no debt. We own everything that we're doing here. I mean, I have debt in the home, but I mean, we have, we own all of our equipment. We've run a very responsible business that I'm super excited about. But I remember once, Jonathan Chait, who's a lefty writer from either New York Magazine or The New Yorker, I'm blanking. I think it's New York Magazine, but somebody could let me know. About a year or two ago, I saw him tweet something about how, like, small business, the phrase small business is just it's just like a made up phrase by big government or by Republicans, something like that. And I wrote back and I was like, I got to tell you, I run a small business and I'm super proud of it. And we have several employees and, whatever. And then he retweeted me and he wrote back several employees, mocking the fact that I only have several employees. And I thought, this is exactly why people don't like elite liberals and sort of the coast liberalism and this big government nonsense. It's like, wait a minute. If I was a big company, you'd say I'm bad because I'm an evil corporation. Now I'm a small business and you mock me for only having several employees. I've created something. I've created content that's valuable. I've created jobs for people, which I'm super proud about. I don't know that he's ever created anything. I don't want to make this about him specifically, but it's like, what is the right number? If you hate corporations and you hate small business, what's the right amount of people that I should have hired that then I would be in that sweet spot? If I had 16 employees, are we good? Are we good then? Like, what are we really talking about here? And often there's really no answer because they have some sort of, just have an idea of what's right instead of having anything to do with what is realistically practical. And Jonathan Chait is from New York Magazine. Keith, Andrew, Angela, and Camille, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. And it's daverubin.com/donate, guys. I'm signing mugs and I'm giving away t-shirts. Here we go. Might I suggest having Bishop Barron and Jordan Peterson share a discussion on your show? That would be quite an event. I think that would be. It would be really, really interesting. And I know that the Bishop is a big fan of Jordan, so I will see if I can make that happen. Have you looked at decentralized solutions like Alexandria/Open Index Protocol? I think the problem needs to be solved at the protocol level, so payment is decentralized, separate from content delivery. I don't want to answer that one specifically. Suffice to say, as I said earlier, I have many phone calls tomorrow. So think about it that way. Hey Dave, I realized a while ago that I'm bisexual and I'm having trouble accepting it as part of my identity. Do you have any advice based on your own coming out experience? Well, it's nice to get away from the topic for just a second. The only advice I can give on anything I think related to sexuality or anything like that is you just have to be yourself. Like, you can try not to be yourself. You can. I did it for many, many years. I'm going to be writing about this in my book. I came out of the closet way too late. I think I did damage to myself. I think emotionally, psychologically, it damaged my relationships, family, all sorts of things that you don't just put aside one day and are magically fixed. I think then you have a lifetime of sort of repairing those things. So, it's funny, I don't regret anything I did because I got to a place in life that's good, but we all live with some of the scars of our former selves, But I would say, if you are what Popeye, I am what I am and that's all that I am. I mean, if you are something, whether you're gay, you're bisexual, whatever you are, if you are, it's like, you got to be it. Now, whatever that means to you. And if you think that people aren't going to accept you for it, then maybe you should find some other people to be around. And that's not a fun thing to say or cool either. But be who you are. It's all you can do. It's hard to live one life. This is what I would say. It's hard to live one life on this earth, right? Like, living one life is hard. What does Jordan talk about all the time? Life is suffering, man. You got to figure out some way to pilfer some pleasure out of it, be on an adventure that is rewarding to you and meaningful and all of those things. I think I've been able to do that. But like, imagine trying to live two lives. And this is what people who are closeted have to do. And people are closeted for all sorts of reasons. I would say conservatives now are more closeted than gay people in a lot of ways, because everywhere I go, I meet people that are just basic, decent conservatives who might be pro-life or pro-gun, who are afraid to tell anybody what their political views are. Now you know what it's like to be in the closet. The closet is just, there's just room for one there, and it's just you and your thoughts, and that is a lonely place. But it's hard to live life as one person. Now imagine trying to live life as two people all the time. It's not fun, and yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I hope that had some value. Shout outs to Benjamin, Beverly, and Patricia, and mugs to Philip and to Thor. Speaking of Thor, I've been on planes, like, I don't know how many freaking plane rides I've taken in the last year, but I've watched Avengers Infinity War like 10 times, and I like it better every time. Like, it really is just spectacular. I can't wait till the next one. So this is for you, Thor. And all right, where are we? We'll be sure to send you monthly via PayPal till your new platform comes out. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, Dave and everyone. How do we solve the whole problem when it starts with the payment processors? It's like we need our own payment processor. yeah, again, so we've hit this a couple of times, but maybe there will be a payment processor, or maybe there is one out there, or maybe I have a phone call with one of them tomorrow with the ability to stand up to the mob, or maybe that have some outside the box thinking solutions to some of these things. So we shall see. Let's see. Thanks, Dave, for so many hours of great content leading me to Peterson, Rogan, the Weinstein brothers, and so many other interesting people. Thank you for giving us hope for the next generation of freedom to think. It's scary raising my children in this generation. Keep fighting. Well, thank you for that. And one of the things that when I go to colleges that I talk to students about, and I just spoke at Turning Point USA, did their Student Action Summit, which was great. Peterson spoke there, and Greg Gutfeld, and Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Kyle Kashuv. It was actually like a Rubin Report reunion, basically. But one of the things that I always say to these kids, it's like, if you think that you're kind of not saying what you think right now, if you think that you're silenced and your teachers are teaching nonsense and all these things, if you don't stand up now, do you think it's going to be any better in 3 years? Do you think it's going to be any better magically in 4 years? The people that want to take away your rights, that want to silence you, they have no problem doing it. Now, I'm not saying be as awful as them. Be a little better than them. It's not that hard. They're pretty awful. Be a little better than them. But what would it be like for your kid? If you're 18 right now, you're in college, right? You're a freshman in college. You're getting indoctrinated with this leftist craziness, right? And this intersectional lunacy and all of this stuff. It's like, do you think that if you don't fight it, when you're young, you're 18, you've got, a chip on your shoulder and you've got energy and enthusiasm and you're ready to take on life, it's like, if you don't do it then, you're not going to suddenly be 27 and you're going to be married and have car payments and a mortgage and a dog and a blah, 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 and your back's going to hurt and a whole bunch of other stuff and be like, and now I'm going to take on the world. Actually, you'll never do it. So do it now before it's too late. And I would say that to somebody that doesn't agree to me. Okay. All right. You know what? Let's throw to a wide shot for a second, just so people can see how many mugs I'm surrounded by here. We got a lot of mugs, people. There's a whole bunch on the left side of me, too. We got mugs being signed every which way. So if you guys want to jump in on a mug, I'm guessing we probably have around 50 left, maybe, of the stash. I'm going to have room in my closet again. I can't believe it. It's daverubin.com/donate, and you'll get a mug, and we're going to send you a T-shirt. I got a couple unsigned ones down here, and I'm giving shout-outs to anyone that jumps on $5 and above. So there you go. Dave, I'm a huge fan of yours and Colin Moriarty. Your show first introduced me to him. I hope you and Colin can find a way to do more interviews together, even though you'll no longer be on Patreon. I love Colin. One of the beauties of this show is that you've watched me in real time become friends with some of my best friends now. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Jordan and I, and Sam and his wife just came over for dinner the other night, and Colin and I have become best of friends, and Pete Boghossian has become an incredibly close friend, and Gad Sad, and Eric has become like an older brother to me, and I love Brett, and the whole crew. It's like, these things have happened in real time in front of you. It's really cool. Actually, one of the things that I love doing about this most, it's like, not only do I get to learn from these people every week, like I sit here and listen. It's why I don't sit and stare at notes and go, oh, I got to ask you this, and I got to get you with that, and that whole thing. It's like, if you could sit in a room with somebody and just be, you can learn. And if you can learn, I think you can be a better person. So I'm a better person, not a perfect person. Got plenty to work on. Shout out to Paul. Thank you, my friend. Let's see. Excited to see what bubbles up in the near future to facilitate the max effective transfer of complex/tricky ideas. Each additional platform is a new opportunity to work out the kinks. Yeah, you're actually totally right. One of the interesting things here is, and I said this right at the beginning, it's like Jordan and I are working on this thing. There are a zillion people that want to work on a zillion different things. There are people that are saying you got to go crypto right now. There are people saying you got to, that's a 2-year plan. There are people saying that the payment processors won't be a problem as long as you're sort of decentralized off Patreon. In my view, that they're just going to nip us off slowly that way. Nobody knows what the answer to any of this is, but again, this is why, how cool is it that there is a problem? Like, think about it. This is what's so cool about being a human and being alive in a free society, right? It's like, there is a problem. You guys see a problem. You watching this right now, you see that there's a problem. I happen to be one guy talking about that problem. But you might be able to solve it. And maybe what you do, the amount of people that have reached out to us, it's like, guess what? We do read our emails. Sometimes people reach out to Jordan and he forwards me something. He says, what do you think about this? Or I forward it to Eric and I go, this might seem like something. So we're all trying to figure it out. Doesn't mean that there's everyone, it's like, I saw when I announced that I was leaving Patreon, I saw a couple verified people on Twitter go after me like, oh, you see, well, if you really wanted to fight free speech, you wouldn't just get off Patreon, you'd get off Twitter, you'd get off Facebook, you'd get off YouTube. And it's like, you know what? Everyone can sit there and complain about everything and bitch and moan about how everyone's not perfect. But sometimes some people stand up and do something. I think that's what we're doing here. I really do. All right. Shout outs to Jonas, to Ian, to Amanda. Oh, to Amanda Lee. Amanda Lee, who I just sent you a note. Your brother reached out over the holidays. I'm sorry I didn't get it to you before Christmas. But you are a student at UCLA and you just completed the LSATs. Congratulations. There you go. Okay. Holy shit, there's a lot going on here. We the people are super proud of what you're doing. Have you reached out to get Matt Christensen on the show? He's welcome to come on. I don't know that I've reached out to him specifically. I'd like to do it in studio. He's in like Montana or something, but yeah, if he's watching, Matt will make it happen. Support from Australia, where the world has also gone batshit crazy. Hoping to see Jordan Peterson here in February. My government already banned Gavin McGuinness from entering the country. We've got about 10 stops in Australia. They sold out crazily quickly. So then we're supposed to be going after Australia. We go to New Zealand. I actually can't go to New Zealand. Unfortunately, I would love to go to New Zealand. It's like, how many chances does someone get to go to New Zealand? But my family, my folks and my brother and sister and spouses and kids and everything, we do 1 week of vacation a year together, and that happens to be then. So I'm leaving Australia. So I'll be at all the shows up until the 16th in Sydney. Then I'm going to miss like 2 or 3 shows. Jordan goes to New Zealand. And then from there, he's then going back to Australia. But it doesn't make sense for me to fly all the way back across the world to do that. Although I've done some crazy flying things. You know, the craziest thing that I did on the whole tour so far was I left the UK on a Friday night or on a Friday afternoon to get back to Los Angeles to go to my good friend and former Rubin Report guest Bob Saget and his beautiful wife Kelly Rizzo to go to their wedding in Santa Monica. So I got in that morning after like a 10-hour flight from the UK or however long that flight is. Went to the wedding, had a great time. Was slow dancing, by the way, next to Billy Crystal and his wife, and I think our butts kind of touched. And then had the wedding, and then immediately the next day flew all the way back to Amsterdam, which was completely bananas, but it was like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Shout outs to Marilyn, to Aaron, to Robert, to Sean, and to Emilio. Thank you guys, appreciate it. DaveRubin.com/donate, guys. You guys truly are the lifeblood of this show. Look, I don't want to belabor the point, but I've got several networks that want me to join them. We could do all sorts of things where I start doing live reads and more live ads and all that stuff. I like doing it the way we've done it, and if we can, to quote Blanche Dubois or Blanche Devereaux, as the case may be, at least in my world, I've always depended on the kindness of strangers. You know what I mean? Like, you guys, if you guys keep funding this thing, we'll keep doing it this exact same way, and we'll keep figuring out other ways to grow and expand. Oh, and by the way, one of the things that I'm planning on doing, so, you know, we had this great partnership with Learn Liberty, which is a classical liberal nonprofit, and we worked with them for about 2 years. They gave us some of my favorite episodes. They gave us with Georgetown professor Randy Barnett, who talked about the foot vote. That was one of the episodes that really changed my views on small government. And with Steve Davies and Deirdre McCloskey and Sean Hopwood, and they sponsored our episode with Phil DeFranco just because they liked him. They had never even met the guy, but they thought they'd sponsor that episode. So we worked with them for about 2 years. They wanted to sign on for another year, and I just kind of wanted to go in another direction. So we actually do have a new nonprofit that I've done some stuff with. I may as well just tell you, we're going to be doing a little bit more with the Ayn Rand Institute. I've done some live events with them. Obviously, I've had Yaron Brook in here, who's a great guy, who's been very influential for me. And we're going to be doing some sponsored shows with them and get them in there because this is a beautiful thing. They actually believe in the ideas of objectivism. So we're going to do a couple shows where it's objectivism verse, and you'll be able to see people sort of tangle and spar over ideas. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. So that's actually pretty cool. All right. Hey, Dave, is there someone who you have come across that thinks like Thomas Sowell, or who you think could become the next Thomas Sowell? Well, I don't think there'll ever be another Thomas Sowell. Is there anyone? I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there. Well, I would say at some level, although he's probably a little more left than Thomas, I would say Coleman Hughes is sort of on the way in a certain respect. and Coleman I've had on here, who's a great guy and really bright. I don't know. Could there ever be another Thomas Sowell? Probably not. Probably not. Shout outs to Gareth, to John, to Jeff, to Jason, to Albin, and to Timothy. And then what I do with my marker, we got a couple mugs coming. Troy and Nathan, you guys are getting mugs signed right there. Troy, there you go. That's your mug. Nathan, it's coming. Okay. DaveRubin.com/donate, guys. I really do appreciate it. And by the way, you know, we're not going to, if you looked at how many times we did like serious like fundraising over these last couple of years, we did it, I try to do it maybe once or twice a year, not even that. I don't intend on doing this type of thing all the time. It's just at this brief moment where, you know, the other thing that's funny is that, so we were at, as I said, around 30 grand a month for most of the last year on Patreon. Then the Sargon thing happened. We went down to like, you know, 25 or something. Then I started really talking about it a couple of weeks ago with Jordan. We went down another 10. Then I made this announcement. Now we're down to like 14, let's say, on there, even despite the fact that I've announced to the patrons I'm leaving. But there's 14 grand just sitting there because a lot of times people sign up and then never think of it again. I'm going to close the account either way. So it's like, there are going to be a lot of people who maybe just signed up and that aren't that active in all of this, or maybe don't pay attention to Twitter or whatever. And it's like, that's why we have to do some of these things where we talk about these things and do these live streams and do videos and the rest of it. A shout out to Heidi and Magnus. That is a great name, Magnus. You are getting a mug right there. I'm going to write your name on it because Magnus is an all-star name. Magnus. You're getting a mug, brother. There you go. All right, let's see. Paying for freedom. How much for a mug? DaveRubin.com/donate. If you sign up for $50 monthly, we're going to send you a mug right now, and I'm going to sign it for you. You said speaking in Montana at the University of Wyoming. As a graduate of both Montana State, Bozeman, and University of Wyoming, Laramie, I forgive you for the mix-up. Keep up the battle, Dave. I got a lot on my mind lately. It was University of Wyoming at Laramie. That's where it was. And that was fun. I actually went out with some of the students there from Turning Point after. We had a good time, except when the bottle of ketchup exploded on me, which actually did happen. Let's see. To determine someone's true convictions, look no further than the personal sacrifices they've made to uphold them. Love you, Dave, and keep up the great work. Tim, thank you. Well, thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. These attacks are not new. The banks have been strangling gun manufacturers and sellers for years. Are you interested in speaking out on other rights? Well, that would be interesting just to find out a little bit more about that. I've heard that. I've heard that from people that work in the adult film business, that they've said they have all sorts of problems with payment processors and things like that. Again, this is where I would say that generally, if I was running things, and I don't want to run things, but I would say if you're following the laws of the country, and in America's case, the state that you live in, that everything basically should be allowed. If you're breaking those laws, then we have a different problem. But that's where I would fall out on that. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Do you think it could replace normal currency? So first off, we are accepting Bitcoin now. We're also accepting Bitcoin Cash. We're looking into Litecoin and Ethereum and a couple of the others, but our Bitcoin address is at DaveRubin.com/donate. I have a lot to learn on crypto. Trust me, I'm trying to learn. I have a whole bunch of calls tomorrow talking to crypto people on all sorts of different fronts. Look, because it's on the blockchain and it's not centralized, there is a power to this type of currency that I think will be more important as we move forward. There's still all sorts of problems related to how quickly you can do transactions, and is it a money the way cash is, where you can quickly do transfers, or is it more of like a gold standard sort of thing? I got a ton to learn, so I don't even want to speak out of school here, but I promise you that I'm learning as fast as I can. Okay. Are the donations through Patreon or other that you receive taxed? Yeah, they are. I have to report everything. I just did my year-end taxes with my accountants. It was not pretty. You want to become a libertarian pretty quick. Start paying taxes. Hey Dave, just transferred from Patreon to your platform monthly. Thank you very much. Same with Jordan B. Peterson. Do you know if Bill Whittle would love to see you talk with him? Yeah, I had Bill Whittle on about a year ago. Check it out. Just put his name in /Rubin Report and Rubin Report in the thing there. All right, we are about an hour and a half in. Holy cow, I've been talking for a long time. Let's throw to the wide chat because I'm surrounded by mugs. There's a whole bunch of mugs you can't even see over there. And remember, you can get the t-shirt, the Rubin Report t-shirt at $25, and we'll send these things out to you pretty quick. We'll try to get all these out within a day or two. My guys are going to kill me for saying that. But we will do the best we can on that to get these out to you. And yes, these will never be printed. Where am I looking? Over here. These will never be printed again because these were the shirts that we were giving out to our patrons. So we had about 200 of them or so left. And we're clearing out stock here at the Rubin Report today. Let's see. Exciting to witness the birth of a cultural paradigm where people of different ideas unite under the aegis of good faith and reasoned discussion. Let's make history one dark conversation at a time. Let's do it. Let's roll. What is your opinion on Brazilian Prime Minister Bolsonaro regarding, oops, there's a lot of things moving here, deforestation of the rainforest? P.S. I'm a Christian, I'd bake you a cake though. You know, I don't know enough about him, but it sounds like he really hates Marxism and he's really pushing Brazil to become more of a world leader, and that he actually is for capitalism, and he's trying to get some of the SJW stuff out of the schools. I just saw a tweet by him a day or two ago. So on that front, and again, I don't know a ton about him, that all sounds good to me. And as a Christian, I appreciate your offer to bake me a cake. That would be very nice of you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Shout-outs to Milhai, to William, to Trenton, to Daniel, to Juanita, to Henrik, to Greg, to Sam, to Alexis, and to Andrew. Thank you guys very much. Man, you guys, look, you know, I said before that when we originally went on Patreon, the night before, I was like, I don't know, did I just destroy my career? Did I just cause my partner and my friends to not have jobs anymore and the whole thing? And, you know, look, I knew this time coming through because we have a couple different revenue sources. So fan funding is the bulk of it. As I said, Patreon has been about 60 to 70% of our rev. There is YouTube rev, but the problem with building a business around YouTube rev is it goes like this. You just never know when it's going to go up and down. It's also seasonal, where it gets better in like November and December before the holidays. And then January, February are pretty bad, and with demonetization and all that. We also do audio podcast reads. That's one way we do it. And as I said, there would be plenty of opportunities. If I right now wanted to start doing ads just this way, just on YouTube like this, we could make a shit ton of money. I mean, far more than I was making on Patreon. I just don't know that that's the route that I want to go. I don't begrudge anyone for doing it. You know, it's funny when Shapiro does it, it's become part of his shtick. It's actually kind of fun when he does it. I just like doing it this way. Also, for the purposes of the conversation, and this is not a knock on anybody, but for the purposes of the conversation, when I sit in this room and they close that door, we go straight through. We do not edit for content. I sit there, I look at that person, I stare at them in the eyes, and we go for it, right? And I don't know that I would want to be stopping to read ads in the middle of that. Again, that's not besmirching anybody the way anyone has to do anything. It's just what I've become accustomed to, and the more that you guys allow me to do that, I think the better work that I could do. Shout outs to Christian and to Stefan. Thank you guys. Okay, here we go. Dave, I love your content as well as the IDW as a whole. I just wanted to make sure you're subscribed to PewDiePie. Please confirm. I am subscribed to PewDiePie. I don't know if it's actually through the Rubin Report YouTube channel, but I have another one that I am subscribed to the PewDiePie. He's funny. He's funny. He did this really funny video. He actually mentioned me in a video about the whole Patreon thing maybe a week or two ago. But he just does these, he opens this video, like, and it's like this mock sort of cartoony CNN, and he's like, I'm Gloria Borger. And it's like, what? The guy's just funny. I like him. Let's see. Thanks for what you do. You should interview retiring Representative Trey Gowdy about free speech in regards to national security and censorship therein. I would be happy to do that. Let's see if we can reach out to him. Good idea. Have Neil Ferguson back on to discuss what's going on with credit processors from a historical perspective. What a great idea. I got to tell you, one of the interviews, I knew that Neil was a brilliant historian and was outspoken and all that, but I did not fully expect him to be the absolute powerhouse that he was. He flew in, he had just landed, he walks in, he like pounds some water, he sits down, and he just goes. And we did, I think, about an hour and 20 minutes, and we could have done much more, but he had to jump back on the plane. But he's a brilliant, brilliant guy. His wife, by the way, is Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and when he talks about her in the interview, it's like, some people could talk about their wife or their husband, and they're just like saying something nice, and it's just meaningless. But the way that he talks about that woman, it's like, wow, that is what love really is. Will you work with software engineers to create solutions with freedom as a core value? Yeah, this is what people are reaching out to us. As I said, I'm not making this up. Well, I got Google engineers reaching out to me. I got people at Facebook reaching out to me. We're going to try to figure this all out. It's a lot to chew off. Sean M, a shout out. Leonard, a shout out. And Sean W for a mug. All right. I got 5 more mugs right there and a bunch over there. Let's get rid of all these mugs, people. There we go. Another mug. Okay. Let's see. Much of the talk between you and your colleagues highlights the issues around radical leftist indoctrination at universities. Are there still reasons to pursue an education at these institutions in the current climate? This is such a tough question, and I get this a lot because I speak at colleges. Look, there are a million reasons to go to college, I think, that aren't necessarily the academic reasons. Let's just put academia aside for a second. There are social reasons, meeting people from different walks of life, meeting people from different parts of the country or different parts of the world, living in a dorm, living in, when you move off campus maybe and you live in a small house with some friends, like learning how to socialize with other people, not under your parents' roof, but not under the roof of where you're going to live with, say, your spouse one day or something like that. So there's all sorts of social reasons. Learning how to hang out and have fun and maybe smoke a joint and have a beer and whatever else that you're going to do to help become a person. That is all part of what the college experience is like. Now, if the academic side of it is just indoctrination, then man, it's tough. I would say the most important thing you can do is, as a parent, is try to steer, I suppose, your children to schools that are going to be respectful of ideas, that are going to be respectful of defending free speech. University of Chicago is doing a great job of this. There are schools that are still doing this, by the way. I spoke down in Clemson. They've got a great a program down there about capitalism and free markets that I thought they're doing a nice job. And Jordan and I spoke to a small group of students there and then did a big talk. There's all sorts of schools that are doing interesting things. Chapman University here, outside of Santa Barbara, where Michael Shermer teaches, I think, is doing a nice job defending free speech. But yeah, if you're going to just send them, to Berkeley to just be indoctrinated, then that's a problem. But that being said, I've given talks to the Berkeley College Republicans, and they're there and they're fighting for what they believe in. So hopefully you've given your child enough of a understanding of what the world is, or the basic bones of how to go about life, that they're not going to go to the school, forget everything you taught, and then just come out a zombie on the other side. But that's tough, and as someone that's not a parent, it's a little bit hard for me to say that with full gusto or something. Shout outs to Michael, to Angie, to Blake, to Ashley, to Tony, to Colin, to Jerry, and a mug for Robin. All right, Robin. That's yours, Robin. There you go. All right. What are some books that changed your life? Love the show and everything that you're doing. Thanks, Dave. I like this question. So first off, every book that we have, we could go to the wide shot for a sec. Every book that's on our set right now, including some books that you can't see over there, these are all former Rubin Report guests. So there's Amy Chua, Steven Pinker, Yaron Brook, there's Teal, there's Ferguson, Kelly Carlin, Saget, David Frum, Sam Harris is over there, Douglas Murray, Thomas Sowell, Scott Adams, blah, blah, blah. So I've read most of these books. The first year of the show, at least, maybe the first 2 years of the show, I read every book of every guest that we had on. And then suddenly my schedule got so crazy it was impossible to do. I also found sometimes in certain interviews, if I knew a little bit less about the specific topic of the book, let's say, I could ask better questions because I wasn't sort of subconsciously leading in a certain way. I was actually going in the most open way. So when I had Jordan on, even, I think 12 Rules was right. Jordan and I knew each other pretty well, but this is certainly before the tour. I think either 12 Rules had just come out or was just about to come out. I had not read the book, and we went through the rules. And it's like, now I know the rules inside and out, and he does these awesome, really, they're truly incredible talks about them all the time. But as to books that I would recommend, the book that I would recommend more than anything else, because it affected me in such a deeply profound way, is Billions and Billions by Carl Sagan. It's Carl Sagan. It's his last book. He actually died before he finished it. So then his wife, Ann Druyan, who was also a professor at Cornell, she finished it for him. Carl Sagan, if most of you know who Carl Sagan is, but he wrote Cosmos, and he did the TV show Cosmos, and he used to go on the old Johnny Carson Tonight Show, and the joke that Johnny Carson would always mock him and say, you say billions and billions, except it turns out that he actually never said that phrase. That's why he named the book Billions and Billions. Anyway, it's just a great book about the way humans react to each other, how important science and belief are, and a whole bunch of other things. So yes, I would check that out if I were you. A shout out to Marshall. Thank you, my friend. Let's see. Do you think the next election will see more people move towards the middle with their votes or further away from moderation? Also, you're my fave, Dave. All right, I appreciate that. Well, I tweeted out yesterday like a 6-tweet thread about sort of what my predictions are for the year. I think that the left, unfortunately, at all the markers over the last couple of years, where they could have done a little self-reflection and said that we shouldn't be into identity politics, we shouldn't judge people as groups, we should look at the individual more. Things that used to be liberal principles, right? We shouldn't look for the government to solve everything. JFK, liberal, Democrat, JFK, that's not what the country can do for you, that's what you can do for the country. That's the reverse of what they say now. Imagine if Bernie started saying that. They would not be happy with Bernie. So I think that the left, we're going to see like a truly bananas left that is going to get worse and worse and worse. And the media is going to keep feeding it and giving it all the energy. That's the worst part. What I think will happen subtly is what's been happening subtly, which is there is a really interesting group of, say, moderate conservatives and libertarians and some Trumpers and some disaffected liberals who are coming together with pretty moderate stances. Now, who is the leader of that? Like, I don't think ultimately that Trump is the leader of that. Even though by no means do I have Trump derangement syndrome, and I think he's done a lot of good things on policy fronts. And forget Twitter for a second. So I think that will continue to be built, that group, but it's about where will it get its energy from ultimately? Who will be the leader of it, and what is it? Like, is it a more moderate Republican? Is Ben Shapiro going to run for president? I mean, who knows? Could it be Nikki Haley? I mean, I'd probably vote for Nikki Haley, and that would really flip identity politics on its head, right? Now you've got a brown woman Republican. Well, what are they going to do with that? So yeah, it's interesting stuff. My hope is that people will return to moderation. We don't want to look back 20 years from now and go, man, 2018, 2019, those were the good old days, because now we're in the middle of a civil war over Twitter fights. You know what I mean? It's like, we still got it pretty damn good here, right? You may think that all hell is, it's so horrible, we're so mean to each other, it's never been worse. You know, read some of the things that Thomas Jefferson, who I love, would say about his political opponents, or that they would say about him. It's like there were crazy, crazy things being said and attacking each other and all that. So it's like, it may feel crazy right now, but also this is where every now and again, get offline and go talk to real people, and they're actually pretty decent. Shout outs to James, Ron, and Colin. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes left. DaveRubin.com/donate. I got a couple mugs left. You will get an autographed mug that I'll autograph right here. We'll get you the exclusive Rubin Report, Rubin Select t-shirt that will never be printed again because it was our Patreon t-shirt. We are leaving Patreon on January 15th. I thank you guys for being surrounded by mugs and support and love and all of those things. I'm just doing what I think I should do. Whew, here we go. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it. Rubin, you and the rest of the IDW are the best. Keep up the good work and never apologize to the leftists for anything. They are truly lost and they're in desperate need of reasonable voices like yours. I'll bake you a cake. Thank you. You know, it's funny too. It's like, if you listen to what the media will say, it's like, I went to this Turning Point thing, the Student Action Summit at the end of December that I mentioned. And as I said, Prager was there, and Gutfeld, and Charlie Kirk, and Candace, and Jordan, and a whole bunch of other people, Brandon Tatum, a whole other bunch. And I met, when I got there, to get backstage, I don't know if I walked in the wrong entrance or whatever, but I had to walk through like a crowd of hundreds of people, and everyone's coming up to me and they were taking selfies and I'm signing stuff and all this stuff. And it's like, these are great people from every walk of life. They're every color, and I met gay people and straight people, and I met Orthodox Jews wearing yarmulkes, and I met brown Muslims, and I met all of these different people. And guess what? They're all conservatives. They're all decent. They're all human. They're open to ideas. I went on stage. I gave a talk about the differences that I have with conservatives. I'm pro-choice. I know some of them are not thrilled with gay marriage. A series of other things. I'm against the death penalty, and they still love it. I got a great ovation afterwards. It's like, these are not the intolerant people, but that's the way it's always going to be framed. Which also brings me quickly to something on the media that I wanted to address, which is, you may have seen the New York Times article from about 10 days ago on the Patreon situation, and the entire article is nonsense. It's almost completely made up. It's written by a New York Times journalist by the name of Nellie Bowles. She's the one who did the article on Jordan and enforced monogamy from about a year ago now, and she frames the whole thing ridiculously. She refers to me as a libertarian podcaster, which I don't care about being called a libertarian. That's fine. But it's like, you're only saying that because you know in the minds of your ultra-left readers that when you say libertarian, that somehow means bad person. Like, if you were being an honest reporter and not someone colorizing something, you would say Dave Rubin, who refers to himself as a classical liberal. But whatever, put that aside, it doesn't even matter. The quote she gets from Jacqueline Hart, who's the head of trust and safety at Patreon, is basically in effect that Carl Sargon-Bakad said these words, meaning the N-word, on the platform, and you're not allowed to do it on the platform. Except he never said those words on the platform. So that's the most important quote of the whole article that sets up everything about why people are leaving and everything else. Now, then I tweeted at her, and many other people did, and they got hundreds and thousands of retweets saying that the quote that she gave you, that is the backbone of the article, is a lie. And it's like, there's no correction out of her. New York Times doesn't give a shit. So it's like, we are watching fake news crumble, and I say, freaking let them crumble. All right. How do you really feel about that, Dave? Shout out to Scott, and Jay is getting a mug. All right, Jay. Let's do it. Here we go. All right, that's a fine signature right there. That might be my best one of the day. You are in luck, Jay. Okay. Do you think you'll face legal challenges no matter what platform or payment system you adopt? I mean, I certainly hope not. I'm not doing anything illegal. I don't intend on doing anything illegal. We're all of us are just trying, I can't say all of us. What I can tell you that most of the people that I'm talking to about these things, from the Weinstein brothers to Jordan and everybody else, it's like, we want to be able to be on platforms where the information is not being manipulated, where people are getting what they're subscribed to, where if you send a tweet out that it's not going to be shadow banned, that you can make an honest dime, et cetera, et cetera. We're not trying to revolutionize the world. Nobody wants to fight Google. Do you think that seems fun, fighting Google? Let's fight MasterCard. Like, I'd rather play video games and go play basketball and take a walk with my dog. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just true. So it's like, do I think we're going to face legal challenges everywhere? I mean, this is all part of, I suppose, growing a business, and we're going to have to think through all of these things. But that's why these are not, I know people want the silver bullet right now. They want the magic answer right now. Just be patient, be patient. And that's why, as I said a couple times now, it's like, we're going to get off Patreon for now. We're going to move everybody over to our website. That eliminates the middleman. We may have to deal with a payment processor issue at some point, but hopefully we'll be able to fold that into whatever else we're doing. But right now, it's if you dig what I'm doing here and you want to support it, you have a way to do it at daverubin.com/donate. So there you go. Dave, while you go on this adventure, remember you're not alone. Keep the words of C.S. Lewis close to your heart. Adventures are never fun while you're having them. I love that quote, actually. I'm very aware of that. Trust me. Trust me. I've been able to go across the world in the last year and meet so many people who are so kind and decent, and it has made me a better person. It just has. And like, when people come up to you and say, oh, you affected me this way, or I watched you and I shared this thing and now my brother and I aren't fighting so much, or whatever it is, it's like, it's real, man. It's real. I think I've told this before, but one of the shows that we did with Jordan, I forget, I think we were in the UK. There was a father and son at the show by coincidence, and the son was like 16, and they hadn't, I'm slightly butchering this, the son was like 16 and they hadn't seen each other in 4 years, and they both just happened to be at the show, and then saw each other, started hysterical crying. They came backstage after, like amazing things are happening if you open your eyes to it, and sometimes it just has to be offline to make it happen. Much respect for your decision, Dave. You're on the right side of history. Don't abandon your path. Yeah, you know, what do I have better to do than save the world? Jacob, thank you. Vidar, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Mike, thank you. Kay, Carla, thank you. All right, guys, 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes if you want a Rubin Select mug that will never be created again because they were created for Patreon. I'll sign it right here for you. $50 on a monthly donation at daverubin.com/donate. T-shirts are right here. I feel like I should be selling the set it and forget it chicken. Where's Ron Popeil when you need him? Tony, thank you. Laura, thank you. Super Chat, I really enjoyed watching your channel and exploring how you went into things openly and listening. You're doing a great job. You started my journey on educating myself on current day topics and asking harder questions. I love to hear that. That's what it's all about. You, Jordan, and Sam are the real defenders of free speech. Is there anything Patreon/Twitter can say, do to regain the trust of true liberals like you guys? Look, if right now, look, there's someone at Patreon watching this, right? Like maybe Conti's watching this right now, or Jacqueline Hart, or some of our other representatives over at Patreon. If you guys are watching this right now, this is nothing personal to you. I am just doing what I think is right because you guys are not defending principles that I believe are the most fundamental, basic American principles. We have to be able to exchange ideas with each other. We have to be able to exchange money with each other. We have to be able to interact with each other. Now, I get it. All these other platforms are doing things. Twitter's banning people, Facebook bans people, et cetera, et cetera. I felt this was the right one to fight. But Conti, if you're watching this right now, or any representative at Patreon, if you want to come in here and talk about these things and tell me why I'm wrong about this, tell me why the platform isn't going to do this again, now I'd welcome it. Would I believe you? Probably not, because you already told me that only manifest observable behavior, mob, would get someone kicked off the platform. And that's not what happened in this case. And you also lied to the New York Times, and the New York Times doesn't care that you're lying by saying this happened on your platform, which it didn't happen. But I want these things to be better. That's the funny thing. It's like when people, if I complain about YouTube, right? People will be like, "Oh, you should just get off YouTube." I said this before, and it's like, no, you complain about things and you fight for things to be better so that hopefully your voice can be heard. That is the essence of expressing what freedom is. Being a free person in a free society doesn't just mean laying there and taking it all the time. It means that you use what you can use, whatever those tools are within the context of being a free person, to hopefully affect things better. So if enough of us rose up and said, you know what, Patreon, we're not going to take this, maybe they would change their minds. Maybe there has to be. I know there are a couple people probably at Patreon who have a flickering brain cell who are probably watching this or watched some of the videos that Jordan and I did or noticed that Sam left or whatever, that are going, maybe this is the wrong thing. And that's why the people that want to deplatform everybody they're afraid of ideas. They're afraid that if you hear an idea, it could completely change what you think about everything and you'll turn against them. Well, you might, because their ideas are often pretty bad and they don't want to defend their ideas, so they think, okay, it's easier to just call someone a racist and deplatform them. Now I'm the winner, which is why it's so interesting that I see so much intellectual flexibility on the right these days, where conservatives will debate and talk to almost anybody and be willing to defend those ideas. And it's almost gone on the left. Shout outs to Rachel, to Danny, to Will, and Mary. You're getting a mug. All right, Mary, here we go. By the way, guys, some people have told us, do not wash these mugs in the dishwasher because it might wash away the signature. I'm using a very fancy Sharpie industrial strength pen here, but hand wash these lightly. That's the best way to keep the signature on there. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Oh, by the way, did I mention I'm going to be on Tucker Carlson tonight talking about, you're not going to believe this, people, free speech and Patreon. So I will be on tonight. I think I'm on the second half of the show, so that's what's that, 8 o'clock Eastern, so I'll probably be on around 8:45 Eastern, which is about 5:45 Pacific. And I mean, look, it's a guy like Tucker. A guy like Tucker, 4 years ago, I thought he was like in complete opposition to everything, I think he's shifted on some things. I think I've shifted on some things. And that's why I said 2018 was going to be the year of unusual alliances, say Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, say Kanye West and Donald Trump. And I think this year there's going to be a quiet revolution of sanity. I think that's going to be what's happening here. Oh, again, I do want to mention, so one of the things, as we roll people into daverubin.com/donate, our hope is that when we build this new thing, we'll just be able to roll you right into it, because we don't want people to have to sign up for things and cancel things and sign up again. All of that remains to be seen, and we're trying to figure it out. So this is just giving us breathing room right now to figure out everything else. Okay, guys, we've got 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. DaveRubin.com/donate. Do you want these shirts? I need room in my closet back. $25 a month, monthly on DaveRubin.com/donate. You're going to get a T-shirt, and you want a mug? We're going to give you a mug, $50 a month. You're going to get a mug. I'm going to sign it for you. We're going to get you the T-shirt, the whole freaking thing. Christian is getting a mug. That's right, Christian's getting a mug. Okay, 5 more minutes. Who else wants a mug? And shout-outs. I'm giving shout-outs. Alan, thank you very much. Let's see. Have you seen Tim Pool's coverage of Sargon and Patreon, especially his interview with YouTuber Law? I didn't see that, but I have seen some. I've been in contact constantly with Tim. We may get him in. He's going to be in LA, I think, the end of January. We may get him in here. Is there any chance you could have an ANCAP economist on to debate Weinstein on his ideas? I'm not sure which Weinstein you're talking about, but I assume you're talking about Eric, because he does more on economics. That would be interesting. You know, I did a public event with Eric Weinstein and Yaron Brook from ARI, Ayn Rand Institute, in New York a couple months ago, which was really, really good, and they really got into it about regulation. And maybe we can pull that off. As I said, we're going to be doing a partnership with ARI over the next couple months. Maybe I can get the two of them to sit down, so hang on to that. Are the people reaching out to you from Facebook and Google doing it out of the fear of losing free speech? Are these people worried about censorship? Yeah. I think people have realized that what's happening at these companies is not good, and they're quietly trying to figure out ways to solve it. And again, I say, if these companies start cleaning up their acts, start respecting free speech, why is it that everyone that gets banned is always on the right? You can literally, anyone right now watching this, including myself, could start calling everybody a white supremacist, right? I could call everybody on the right a white supremacist. I could call Donald Trump a white supremacist. I could call Ben Shapiro a white supremacist and a white nationalist and a KKK member. I mean, these things that are lies, and they're the worst sort of damaging, dishonest things you can say about somebody. Nobody gets banned for that. There's plenty of other things if you call people, and people on the left do this to people on the right all the time. The other way, you get banned if you do it the other way. So this is a problem. This is an asymmetric war. Shout out to Terrence and Ryan. You're getting a mug. All right, I got a couple more mugs there. Can one of you guys come in here and hand me those mugs? Let's move these last mugs. I got 5 more mugs there. Let's move them. I got 3 minutes, people. 3 minutes to move 5 mugs. DaveRubin.com/donate. I'm going to sign your mug. I'm going to give you a T-shirt. And then I'm going to drink a little tea. And then I'm going to see Tucker Carlson. We got another Ryan for a mug. May I have a mug right there? Hand me a mug. 1 mug. Look at this. The magic of YouTube. Oops. That's, oh. Yeah. Wow. You're getting the old school mug. Ryan is getting the old Rubin Report mug. The big mug that I drink out of myself. These are the new ones. You're getting the big ass mug, Ryan. All right, there you go. Holy cow, lots going on here. All right, guys, we got about 2 minutes left. Something. When platforms abuse their status, I feel powerless. When creators like you lead by example, I'm hopeful. Thank you for taking the stand. By the way, will you vote for Kanye in 2024? Good luck to you and Happy New Year. At this point, you know, it's as likely as anything else. We'll see. Okay. Have you considered having an open-minded quantum physicist sit down with you, Jordan, and Ben to discuss conscientiousness, truth, and reality? That could be amazing. Who do you recommend on that? Give me a name. Give me a name. Shout out to Manuel. I got to move these last couple mugs, people. DaveRubin.com/donate. I read that one. Let's see. Will you speak to the issue of American Legislative Exchange Council, and why aren't we hearing more about the anti-American policies being put into place? No one seems to know who they even are. I'm going to have to include myself in that. I'm actually not totally sure what you're talking about, so hang tight. Hey, Dave, I'm a seasoned iOS developer here who can certainly help with the Patreon alternative and more. How do I get involved? Resume is ready. Go to rubinreport.com/contact. Drop me a line. We're categorizing. I can't respond to all these emails right now. As I said, I have like 5 jobs as is, and now I'm like a tech person. But what I'm trying to do is I have somebody that I trust who knows a lot about all of this, who I'm forwarding all of these emails to. We're putting them all in a database. And I think maybe at some point I may try to pull off a day where we just invite a gajillion people together to talk this all out. So if you are a developer and you are interested, this is a good way to end all of this. Go to rubinreport.com/contact, drop us a line, and I promise at some point we will try to get back to you. Logan, thank you very much. Okay, just a reminder, guys, January 9th, Brett Weinstein and I'm doing stand-up for about an hour, and then we're doing a live sit-down in Ontario, California at the Ontario Improv. On January 30th, I'm at Irvine, California at the Irvine Improv with a member of the IDW. Thank you to Christopher. January 29th, I'm at, where the hell am I? Cal State Fullerton. Mamma mia, a lot going on here. All right, I'm gonna put this down unless there's these last few shout outs. Thank you guys. That really, like, look at this. I'm sitting in a room, I'm surrounded by 100 mugs right now. You guys are making this thing happen. And it's humbling, it's incredibly, I'll keep going. I'll keep going if you keep going. I mean, that's the best thing I can say, right? Sort of like Dirk Diggler's speech when he first was winning the awards in Boogie Nights. He says, I'll keep rocking and rolling if you keep rocking and rolling. That's kind of what I feel about this. It's like, let's do this together. I'm one guy, I happen to be doing this. There are a lot of allies out there. There's a lot more support for all of these ideas than you're gonna hear about because the other people have silenced everybody pretty damn effectively. But maybe that's what the beauty of this is. I wanted to say this earlier, but so the year was ending, and I was going away with my brother and sister for the end of the year to take a couple of days off, and I really was going to try to disconnect. And you guys know I like to try to get offline when I can. And then the Sargon thing like broke, and I was sitting on a beach in Florida, and like I had my phone, and I was like, man, this sucks. Like I needed just like 3 or 4 days to just like stare at the ocean and clear my mind. But I know how important all this was, and then something hit me. It was like, this was exactly how the year was supposed to end. It was like, it was such a great year and everything was tracking so properly. And then right at the end, it was like the world kind of flipped. It kind of, like life just throws you these things. Life throws you a lemon, and what do? You make lemonade. And it's like something weird just happened here. But I know that for me, at least, every time something weird has come along the road, that if I've kept my wits about myself and I've been honest with myself and the people around me, that we've been able to make the right decisions to go forward. I think that's what I see for myself. I think it's probably what you see for yourself, and we'll just keep going. So this does feel right to me. Like if you would have told me a month ago, man, you're going to be canceling Patreon and giving up the 30 grand a month that's on there and having to figure out all sorts of new stuff, and we by the way, we're completely redoing our website and a whole bunch of other things. I would have been like, you're nuts. Like that, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to voluntarily do that. Like who gives up 60 or 70% of their company's revenue voluntarily? But I know it's the right thing to do. And for the financial hit that we'll take, even though obviously we're making some of it back here, it's like where there's no risk, there's no reward. So we're just going to keep going. Final shout outs to Christopher, to Bernadette, and Michael. Unless someone else joins by the time I finish this sentence, you are getting the last mug of the day. So here we go. Michael's getting the last mug. There we go. Michael, that's for you. Really, thank you guys. We'll have a couple other, we may do a couple other live streams in the next week or so, just so we can let people know about what's going on with the Patreon situation. This is all unfolding. As Jordan and I said, we're going to be as open and honest with you as we possibly can as we figure out all of these things. We're listening to you, and I think that's it for now. Stand up, January 9th, Ontario, California, January 30th in Irvine, California. And I got to stop talking for about an hour so that I can do this with Tucker later. So check out Fox News about 8:45 or so Eastern time with Tucker Carlson. Thank you guys, and good night.